And good morning. We are live on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. It is the Sklyer Jack / Watching Humans podcast, sometimes the Point Raised podcast. We're taking a break from the Point Raised tour, but for those of you who are following that, I put out a new video this morning um, following the tours as you go from the south of the peninsula and north. Jack, you'll enjoy it. We dipped into E Ranch, Nunez, and their landfill, and
the landfill ranch.
the landfill ranch. And you know what's funny is that the rest of the ranch doesn't look much better. I started looking around. I was like, "What? Oh man!" The standards in Point Reyes are really low.
Yeah. No. It's what happens when you let them do their own self-monitoring and self-cleanups.
Yeah, the intentional ignoring by the Park Service.
Good morning, Susan. She has a question, but we just started, Susan. So give us at least 5 minutes to get into it. Skyler's got some goodies, and then we're going to get to an issue which I guess you read my email last night, and you're anticipating our story, and you have a question already. But thanks for showing up.
Absolutely, and we will definitely get to that question. And Ray Cooper's here. Ray Cooper is excited for one of the topics that Jack wants to talk about, and that's trophy hunters and whether or not animals have the right to fight back. And this actually ties into it. I'm warming everybody up with something I am going to do a full-length video on when we get off of this live, but I'll give everyone a teaser. This monstrous excuse for a woman leading Homeland Security for Trump, South Park, who sadly are the closest thing that Democrats have to having a bold voice at this stage. We're reduced to people who make animations.
Having the balls.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, it made a difference because I didn't know about her. I didn't know about her bragging in a book. I guess this is like a resume for getting hired by Donald Trump, bragging that you shot your 14-month-old dog in the face for being untrainable.
You know, that just even there, I mean, you and I could do half an hour on that, but
absolutely,
it's such a perfect line. It's like
untrainable.
Untrainable shows that she's an idiot. Of course, one, doesn't understand. And then two, that the response is, if the dog is untrainable, what's my recourse? Turn the puppy back in? No, kill it. And then, of course, oh God. Oh, don't let me get me started. There's just so much there. She's such a monstrous person. I did follow the story. I do know about her. I had heard about the puppy killing she did and boasted about. And then she's complaining about the South Park criticism as picking on her looks, which it does, but that's not the crux of it. They pick on the content of this woman's monstrousness, and which she ignores and says they pick on the way I look, which is the image you're showing there. But I mean, it's horrifically, wonderfully violent, showing her killing dogs. Oh, yeah, you just put your head down and shake it. Like, I can't believe they did this, and God bless South Park.
So how does this tie into hunting? Well, turns out that her 14-month-old pointer purpose in life was to help her kill other animals. And it wasn't a very good pheasant hunter. Stupid dog didn't understand its purpose in life as a prisoner to another human being, or didn't carry out the only aspect of hunting that could possibly require exercise, the retrieval of the prey. Isn't that usually the dogs go and fetch the creatures that the brave human being shoots from long distance? And apparently on the way home from shooting her dog in the face, she saw her goat in the brush and decided to shoot it too. I mean, and I gotta tell you, I'm really confused about how the MAGA party was so successful in making all the woke stuff lay on the burden of the other side. Because I understand that our side is more sympathetic but like they just make it seem as though it all came from us. Like, for example, they're very upset about homosexuals. They're very upset about transgender. They're very upset about being politically correct. And here's weren't the old days women were nurturers? Wasn't that like, isn't that going back to the old days, Make America Great, where men did the hunting and women didn't like find a role in society by making themselves be like men? Like her masculinizing herself won her points with the party that is also the people that say we want things the traditional way. And I know I sound like I'm saying I think I know where women are, be in your place. Don't be a hunter. I'm just trying to understand how they get to act like they want tradition. But I mean, Jesus, look at her. She could be a tranny. I mean, and this is your spokesperson. I'm not speaking against transsexuals, but she is a plastic surgery, makeup covered person who clearly isn't okay with the way God made her. So, and then she turns around and gets mad at South Park for talking about looks. It's the MAGAs that resort to talking about looks. Actually, I thought we were the woke ones that say, hey, don't talk about people's looks, don't body shame, don't image shame. And yet then here she is saying that we're the ones who do that. I thought you're saying the problem is that we don't do that. Do you see my confusion? Am I not making any sense? Because I'm having a hard time even understanding the whole
clearly
thing.
You're a little confused because there's so many criticisms layered on top of each other in there, but you're pointing out the basic hypocrisies. Yeah, of course. And, that women are supposed to have traditional gender roles, but of course, then she also was God bless her, a strong woman and strong-minded. And, I'm a crazy libtard who thinks that women should do whatever they want to do, that whatever role they want, whatever degree of feminine or masculine, and whatever job they want, let them go. And it's so simple, really. People are equal. But there I go, not understanding that women's place in the household to raise the children, and the man, great white hunter, goes out and shoots animals in the head for fun. He's bored. But what do I know? I look at my shirt today in honor of this topic. I mean, look how crazy I am.
I love that image. I actually posted that.
Do you know it?
It says, be still now, or something like that.
Quiet now. So I think it's a woman, but doesn't matter. A young person, apparently, hiding the animals from the hunter in the background, a fox and a deer. And it says, can you read that? It's backwards, but it says,
it's backwards.
Dear animals, all humans are not the same. Which, is you and I probably out of the mainstream. I mean, vegans certainly out of the mainstream, but I want to be a protector of animals. I want to use, what masculinity I can muster to speak out for animals and protect them, not to prove my masculinity by killing, subjugation, and domination. I will kill you, which is going to, this is going to lead into this cartoon, this guy here, oh mighty hunter, proving his masculinity and being in touch with nature. And now the latest thing I want to touch on also will be about conservation when they go hunting big animals for huge money abroad.
It's so cowardly to shoot things. When I was filled with grief and loss, and I still am, of course, when April was killed, mixed into all those feelings included was anger and a temptation to take it out on something else, quite frankly, as a way to pretend that I wasn't to blame, or it's just unleashing anger.
And you weren't, just Skyler, I got to say, you weren't to blame. You were not
okay.
to blame. There's a piece of you, the voice is always going to be in your head. Acknowledge it. I mean, it's human. I would feel it too. Like I shouldn't have, I could have.
I'm not interested in relieving the blame here. But
I am, damn it! I don't want you beating up on yourself, man. You loved your dog and you had her great life, and then something horrible happens, which sometimes happens. An animal, a wild animal, attacked your pet.
So what I'm trying to say is that I had a I had some visions in my mind of the next time a coyote attempted something like that, me killing the coyote, or even watching from a distance and shooting it. And I thought I could never, like, even as I envisioned it, I was like, that is pathetic. You're somewhere far away waiting for an animal to walk into the open, and all you do is pull a trigger. Even in anger and vengeance, that still felt gross. And that's what hunters do, except hunters go where the animals live and are trying to carry out their purpose that God gave them, that Mother Nature gave them. And they go and fuck with animals where animals live. And then, as you're going to get into today, in the rare occasion that an animal actually survives this person who's looking for trouble and fights back,
Looking not for trouble. Look, let's be precise now. Looking for murder.
looking,
I'm
well,
looking to
I'll put
kill
them in the, they're very closely related.
you.
If you go looking for murder as a human being, you're looking for trouble, are you not? Against other human beings. It's only when it's a non-human that, oh, there's no problem. Just go murder whatever the fuck you feel like murdering.
Because we're in a different separate category above, and we can do as we please. Yeah.
Hashtag I use the whole animal. Saviors, angels.
So let's. I mean, you and I can auger into this stuff. Should we just jump into
Yeah.
it?
All right. Take it over.
Okay. So I think the way to do this is to let's see if I share and show an article I just pulled up. So folks, just cut to it and talk it for the moment rather than do the show and tell stuff. The headline I pulled out, there's 1,000 articles on it now. It's hitting the news. I pulled out a National Public Radio piece because, they may not be around for long. And it says, Texas big game hunter killed while stalking African Cape buffalo. Now, at least they got the word stalking right. The hunter was stalking the Cape buffalo. I didn't know what a Cape buffalo was. I'd heard the term, but I didn't know it's this 2,000-pound animal in northernmost South Africa. And it's apparently a game animal. I mean, I just kind of amazed. This is some sort of. Go ahead. You have a comment already. Go for it.
Nope.
Okay. So I'm just gonna. You know what? I won't even show the picture. It doesn't matter at the moment. A Texas real estate magnate is the word they use, and trophy hunter. So there's a trophy hunter. He's killing for trophies, not because he needs the meat. He's paying 45 grand or something like that. Was killed by a Cape buffalo during a hunting expedition in South Africa, according to which is to say the safari company that done brought him to the dance, which described the incident as, quote, sudden and unprovoked. Sudden and unprovoked. So let's get back to that. But it says, so the guy's name is Asher Watkins, who survives. He's got a wife and at least one child.
He's stalking the animal while not provoking it.
Has been tracking. Okay. I mean, again, this is NPR, the liberals who actually put the facts in. Watkins had been.
If I stalked you, would you feel provoked?
Well, exactly. He's tracking it. Has been tracking the bull for a kill when the large horned animal staged an attack first. So even there's the liberal bias, which is pointing out that stalking an animal can be seen, as you're saying, as provocation. So the fact that the hunting company that makes a shit ton of money, bringing wealthy white people in, generally white people, the great white hunter, to make a living to have them kill animals, says this was sudden and unprovoked. This is an outrage. How dare this animal do this vicious thing? Meaning it justifies further violence against them as a prey animal. You had a comment?
Well, some of you by now know that my background is in shark conservation. And I got to tell you how long it took for there to be a shift of switching shark bites where the shark has been hauled onto the deck of a boat. And while the hook is being ripped out of his mouth, a fisherman actually gets bitten. And this still being labeled as not just an attack, but an unprovoked attack.
Yeah. Right. He's in the process of being killed. He fights back, and it's unprovoked. It's
Shark
fascinating how far it goes. So next sentence, Asher was, quote, said the statement from CVS. There's a pharmacy here in the West Coast called that, but this is Conrad Vernac Safari, CVS. Asher, quote, was fatally injured in a sudden and unprovoked attack by an unwounded buffalo he was tracking together with one of our professional hunters and one of our trackers. So now there's 3 guys with a high-powered rifle, at least one high-powered rifle. I'm not sure if the others were armed as well. I assume they were because they're not idiots. And the family, our team members who were present at the time, are understandably shaken. Out of respect for the family's privacy, we're not sharing further details, blah, blah, blah. And he describes Watkins' his family as long-standing friends and part of the CVS family. Meaning, he gives us money. We love him. He gives us, whatever it is, $45,000 to come and kill one of these guys. And Cape buffalo are considered one of the most wanted, dangerous game animals by trophy hunters across the globe, says the safari company, of course, who's still trying to sell their wares. No other animal has a more fearsome reputation than a Cape buffalo, the safari company said. Responsible for several deaths and many injuries to hunters each year, the buffalo is regarded as the most dangerous animal to pursue in Africa, let alone the world, CVS's PR team keeps saying. The nature of Watkins' death, he was killed by the same animal he had sought to take down. Take down means shoot to death. Take down. Remove the tree. Cut down. Kill. Sparked discussions among online animal groups, as we are doing right now, and activists, as we're doing right now, on the ethics of trophy hunting.
You know, the stupid liberals.
The ethics of trophy hunting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Animal groups, stupid liberals.
The ethics, right there, the ethics. Let's discuss the ethics of trophy. Is it ethical to, yeah, there you go. There you go. So thank you for throwing that picture up there. So, Payback is a buffalo, let's face it. So there's that happy hunter, Asher himself. God rest his soul. God may he be tracked and hunted repeatedly with flames licking at him with that big cat chasing his tail. He's so happy he conquered that giant, beautiful mountain lion. Not for food, not to feed his family, not because he's a Native American living on the land, but just because he wants to feel alive. He wants to feel something. And the way men do that is by domination and killing an animal who is basically helpless, with the rare exception that the Cape buffalo actually was smart enough to hide in the bush, and then leap out and surprise him because the guy's reflexes are so shot he couldn't even see the animal coming. Because, that's a wild animal against some guy with supposedly a big brain and opposable thumb and a high-powered rifle.
Multiple men with guns.
3 men, right. He's with his tracker, right. Actually, 3 of them. And still they didn't see the animal coming. That's how smart and savvy and wonderful.
Well, it gets darker, Jack. There's a pretty good chance that this was even on a hunting reservation, which is what Africa is being reduced to. Africa, much like we are concerned about in the United States, is dominated by agriculture, emerging businesses, and these hunters who have you heard of canned lion hunting? Anyway, they raise lions from cubs to become familiar with human beings, and then these people pay a lot of money, and these lions who aren't afraid of humans actually get called, and as they're returning to the familiar call, these mighty hunters shoot them.
Oh, geez. No, I didn't know about that. Thanks for that, Skyler. Thanks for filling
me
in.
It always gets darker. That's the human race. It can always get darker.
Yeah. I mean, which reminds me, by the way, just as a crazy interjection, because I want to mention it a few times. 2 weeks from today. Today's the August 12th, and August 26th, folks, we have Gary Yourofsky as a special guest, who is really, for those who don't know, a very well-known, one of the most famous vegan activists. He was dropping out of the scene when I was just waking up around 2014 and becoming a vegan activist. So, he would do a nice angry rant on this stuff here and talk about how despicable humans are as a species. And I'm sure with you, welcome that discussion. So yeah, there's Susan. Thank you. Yes. What are the ethics of murder? And again, the trick is I just keep wanting to qualify it. I'm not talking about, the few tribal people that haven't been decimated on this planet who kill for food. It's another issue. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vast majority of humans that live in industrialized centers and don't need to kill. Certainly, this is a threatened species, the Cape buffalo. Not endangered, but it's a threatened animal. Its population is dwindling, of course, because of habitat loss and the usual hunting and disturbances and the climate and all the rest of it. And we're still hunting them down just to I remind you of one line you said, getting our willies off. Yeehaw!
Again, back to my shark references. That's the reason I used to go to South Africa. And way before I was vegan, I was sadly sitting next to a guy who was on his way to Africa to kill animals. And I'm on my way there to enjoy living creatures and hope to enjoy seeing their magnificence. He's on his way to bring them to an end, and he thinks he's doing something good. But I engaged in the conversation with him a little bit, and he said, "Do you eat meat?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, then you're being hypocritical." And even when I was a non-vegan, I was like, "That's a pretty big reach to justify what you're doing. You're flying from another continent to go and kill something else, and then trying to pretend that this is somehow part of a food web." You have nothing to do with that animal's existence in any way, shape, or form other than ending it.
Totally, of course. I'm different than, I mean, I grew up in New York State and family in Vermont as well. And, I was around deer hunters. On the weekends, they go out and shoot a deer and take it back and eat the whole animal. And I remember being taught and thinking among my friends how horrific that is. And I would never do that. And it's so brutal. How can you shoot Bambi and all that? And I, in my case, copped to being a massive, ignorant hypocrite, because I would just go to the local supermarket, to the deli counter, and order my luncheon meats, as we called them, which was an animal that was raised in captivity and tortured, much as you were describing that lion who's raised to be shot in the head by a stupid white guy with a gun. And the hunter at least was responsible. He said, I know I'm killing an animal when I order that bologna sandwich at the supermarket, at the A&P shopping center, to show my era and East Coast affiliation. And the hunter said, I'm killing an animal and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to take the responsibility. Not that I approve of it, but I was far worse. I was slaughtering animals. I wasn't even aware of it. That's how clueless I was, which is mainstream society. For, half a century I did that.
Yeah. I'll say two things. The guy who goes and kills the deer supposedly for the meat never stops shopping at the shopping mart. So he's committing both atrocities. But to your other point, yes, there is a problem with most of us getting our food even not even crossing our minds what it actually is. I mean, that's a huge disconnect.
Well, that's, as vegan activists, that's the issue we're constantly. I don't want to get personal here with specific people in my life, but I was just talking to somebody that I respect as an activist. And, I'm always going on about veganism because it's a big friggin' issue for me. And again, Gary Yourofsky is one of the guys that kind of gave me the courage and the backbone at following his example of this is the most important issue of our day. I also learned that from Will Tuttle, that we as a species will continue to be violent toward each other as we're continue to be violent toward our subjugated animals that we eat and kill and maim and torture and confine and breed unconsciously every day of our lives.
Well, if your mentality is to find an excuse to needlessly be cruel, then where do you put the limit on your excuses? We're really good at creating excuses, and if you need to make an elaborate excuse to be cruel to another human being, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're going to be capable of coming up with that excuse.
And the excuses are endless. The joke among vegans is when somebody says, where do you get your protein? Because none of us have protein deficiencies. There's tons of protein in all sorts of food. But then yesterday someone said, but Jack, what about B vitamins, B12? I'm like, oh my God, really? We're going to do that? Just take a B12 supplement there. Next reason to stop eating chickens, as Leah taught me to say, rather than chicken the food, it's chickens the animal.
Well, and I'll add to that meat eaters don't not take supplements, don't not take vitamins. They make it sound as if only vegans take vitamins, which I don't, by the way. Maybe I should. But I got back to my peak strength of my life when I was, playing. I don't know. I guess it was somewhere between my senior year of high school and first years of college when I lifted a lot of weights. And then when I became vegan, I tried to get back to that just to see if I could, and I did. I mean, this protein thing is just, come on.
Nonsense. Yeah, nonsense.
You never heard people talk about it so much until suddenly someone said, hey, you don't get to, maybe you should think about what you're putting in your mouth. Oh, but the protein. Do you want to respond to Marty?
It actually sounds like another Cape Buffalo saw him hunting his friend or family and took him out. Those people seem to forget that other species love and care for each other. Thank you, Marty. Indeed, they are highly intelligent, sentient, if you wish that fancy word, animals who are really in tune with their surroundings in ways that these clowns certainly are not. I mean, maybe Native Americans living on the land 1,000 years ago were very in tune because they were still living more wild. Now, as domesticated humans who put on camo and a big gun and walk around there like friggin' idiots. I mean, the fact that he got hunted by a Cape buffalo shows how unaware he was. I can just see it all. But I didn't hear that. That another. I mean,
Well, what you read made it went through an effort to say that it was the same animal that he was hunting that killed him. Now, I don't know who's telling the truth, but to Marty's point, it's certainly not inconceivable. I mean,
yeah.
we've seen cases in which animals have come to the rescue of their own kind, putting themselves at great peril.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, they
Even not their own kind, even other species.
Yeah. Newsflash: animals are highly intelligent, express love, togetherness, family, care, nurturing, compassion. Like what? No, really? I thought just humans do that because look how we're taking care of each other and the planet.
Yeah, we're so good to each other. Including the dog that Kristi Noem shot in the face, had a personality, had love, and I've got to say, just being labeled as untrainable, magically applied to you because some bitch decided that you were untrainable. Someone who's not capable of training, probably not intelligent enough. I've worked with a lot of dogs, Jack. I guess I just keep getting lucky every time.
I, I grew up watching, what is it, Mrs. Woodhouse, some English woman who's all very stern and proper, and she would, it was like the horse whisperer, the horse trainer. The humans are like, this animal is untrainable, and then the professional trainer who really understands animals. And with a dog, it's still a subject. I mean, I love dogs, and I'm fine with people having dogs as pets, but it's an animal you control. It's not a wild animal. And they just grab the leash, and instantly the animal like, whoa, I better not mess with this human. Okay, I'll walk where you want me to walk. Totally like responsive to another human who knows animals better. Certainly domesticated animals better.
I did put the call-in link up just because we'll see. If people want to be interactive. I know Ray Cooper is watching, and
He
sometimes
says
likes
he
to
wrote
call.
canned hunts actually have a menu. Do you know what that means, Skyler?
I actually wanted to ask him, does that mean like you can, depending on your mood that morning, you can pick a different animal to go and kill? Or are you selecting which species of exotic animal you're going to consume that day while you're out on your luxury vehicle hunt?
Yeah, all of it's terrifying. So anyway, the big deal is, as we know, that's why we're talking about it, is it was a huge, a lot of people like me and Skyler, and apparently one of our listeners, Susan here, were just kind of, I'll say it my way, which is hesitantly, but I'm doing it. You probably less hesitant, cheering, yay, one for the Cape Buffalo. Fan freaking tastic. And so there you go. You put up, Susan, how can we encourage more wildlife to charge hunters? And I don't think she means charge them money. She means charge them and kill them and retaliate and save their own lives. But of course, just so you know, to put the cap on this, unfortunately, not the end of the conversation, what happens whenever an animal, Skyler, dares, fights back, and kills Mighty White Hunter? What happens to that animal?
It's put down.
It is killed. So that has happened here. This animal is big, strong.
It wasn't very long ago that they killed a mother bear in Tahoe. It was only months ago. The mother bear's crime was being intelligent, figuring out how to open things that humans had decided bears wouldn't be able to figure out. They killed the mother and left orphaned cubs. And this is as human beings just flood Tahoe, just cover every inch of it. And with the heat changes, I in particular noticed that you can't access water anywhere if you're a wild animal. Humans are blocking it with their houses, with their fences, or with their physical being. It's like animals are reduced to walking peacefully through a crowd just to touch some fresh water to either drink or cool off, and pray to God that some dipshit doesn't do something that will cause the animal to be killed. It is the most intelligent species of stupid behavior that is going to cause the other animal that's just trying to get some fucking water to be killed.
I think Gary Yourofsky was. I think he calls us the humans the smartest dumb animal. I think we're the dumbest smart animal, but we'll play with it when he comes on. And I really do want to, Skyler.
Oh, I guess we weren't clear, Paula. No, they went and killed the buffalo.
They went and killed the buffalo, Paula. Sorry. And Ray does explain the menu. He says you pay for quail if that's on the as a menu, and then a guy lets it loose from the behind a bush. So the menu is, what animal do I want you to throw out there for me to shoot, like in a fish in a barrel, a shooting gallery. I didn't know that, Ray. Thanks for that.
No, I've heard. God.
Anyway, so Skyler, you're going to see a dark side of me in 2 weeks when Gary Yourofsky's on. I do want to get into. I got a couple film clips I want to share with you to see if it's appropriate, but I want to get.
This is about Gary.
I'm sorry.
This is about Gary. You're about the show.
No. Just I'm saying when Gary is on in 2 weeks, I just want to keep advertising August 26th. When he's on the show, I want to do a segment about how awful humans are. I won't shy away from it for a change. I tend to kind of want to balance when you go really dark, like, well, and then I make a joke. I kind of want to go dark on it because it's the appropriate guest to do that with. Anyway, just saying. So a comedian had a bit about it, about the menu. Ray says, he said, quote, I show up to these canned hunts and ask how much to shoot the dog.
Well, see, but we're not that, we're heading that direction. That's the problem. We have in our head that dogs are the ultimate example of bringing people back down to earth. But the reality is, as soon as you talk about the meat festivals in another country, then people turn around and be like, oh, well, I'm not going to trample on someone's culture. Or when the head of Homeland Security tells you, oh, it had to be done and I was being responsible. Oh, maybe more of us should shoot dogs in the face instead of being kind, because she's telling us what responsible behavior is. I mean, of all the fucking ways to kill your dog, too. Actually, I can't really think of any nice ways, but Jesus Christ.
Well, it wasn't. It was on so many levels. A, untrainable, which is ridiculous. You're an idiot. 2, that you have to kill the dog because it's untrainable because you're an idiot. You're an idiot and a vicious one. Shoot it in the head. 3, and then 4, brag about it in your book, as someone pointed out. People criticize me for that. So you put it in your book. You were proud of it. As I guess
it was her Trump resume.
It was her Trump resume. I can do the hard work that's necessary.
Let me prove to you, Trump, that I will have no problem ripping human babies out of the arms of their mothers.
Right.
Exactly. Let me demonstrate that by shooting my own dog in the face.
Right. You think I can't do tough work? Look at me. Yeah, there you go. So we're past the half-hour mark. Can we move on to the next topic, or do you have some more words about this, or is there audience member we haven't delved into to say we're cheering? We're cheering.
I'm just putting. If anyone wants to click this link and click notify me, you got to click the bell. This is the show that Jack is referring to. So,
thank you. Yeah. Meaning the link to the August 26th.
Yes, obviously it won't do anything except for say that you can be notified of when this actually goes live.
Yeah, and we want to do. It'll also be a fundraiser for Gary's choice of charity, which is Sasha Farms in Michigan, where he's from. So we want to. I mean, the guy has earned it. But anyway, just tune in and listen. You're not required to pay money or give money. We want you to listen and be moved by this guy because he's quite an amazing public speaker, and he's literally been responsible for convincing by rational argumentation, by being reasonable and reasoning.
Speaking of fundraising, I'm playing with banners. You can actually do a tax-deductible donation to myself at this link I threw on the screen. Jack can be donated to as well on his Tree Spirit Project website.
Yeah, thank you, Skyler. Yeah, to both of us. We do this because we love to do it. If people like the content and want to support us, 5, 10, 20, $50, something like that makes a difference. We notice it. We thank you. Welcome to the capital system where you do what you do and then, maybe you get some money to pay for it. Maybe you don't. But
I'm
yeah.
getting into practice before Gary comes on.
Yeah, well, I've always been more comfortable, hey, give to Gary or hey, give to Skyler than I am for myself. I mean, a lot of us are that way, which is a habit you're supposed to get out of if you're going to survive in a capital culture where you got to raise money. But anyway, August 26th, special guest Gary Urofsky. If you know who he is, tune in, and if you don't know who he is, tune in. So next topic. Geez, how do I share my screen again? Oh, there it is. So I'll just set this up briefly, and I am been working on these anti deforestation campaign issues, which is to say there are issues that are called vegetation management, which is really just another euphemism or a euphemism for cutting down trees and shredding with a masticating machine lots of understory plants, bushes, shrubs in a forest, or maybe not a full-on forest, but a wildland, something that has not been managed, is not private property. It's the public commons between houses out here in, Marin County and the area I'm in the Bay Area. And unfortunately, since I started, I don't know, a year ago or 2 years ago on the Tomales Bay State Park Forest, people have heard me say that, whatever. That's some specific 2,000-acre forest. They want to hack into 1,000 acres of it to tame it, manage it, reduce the supposed threat of fire danger by cutting down trees, basically cutting down a forest in order to save it. And they also call it a restoration at the same time. Well, since then, they just keep on coming. More so-called, because it's a bullshit term, restoration projects. And oh God, Mac OS. So this platform says doesn't support sharing sound while sharing the entire screen. Okay, so I got to turn off sharing. Sorry, platform doesn't want to do what I want it to do.
Try that again, and let me see if I can put it up. I saw it in the background.
Entire screen. I hit share.
Okay, now let me.
Oh wow, you got it somehow. Cool.
I had to remove the other one. This format. This.
Okay, great. Thank you. However, it's interesting because I'm getting a yellow thing, a box saying doesn't support screen sharing while sharing a tab. But anyway, it's working now. Thank you. So there you go. Marin Wildfire Agency. Now, this is an agency I hadn't heard of. It's actually the MWPA, which is the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. Right there, it's in the name. They're preventing fires. They're not protecting us against fires, which they claim are natural and normal and necessary. They do, obviously, if there's a fire at your house, you want to do what this cool dude is doing, which is getting out there and putting out a fire near your house. But now this is about stopping fires anywhere near communities. And I mean a mile away from any houses. They're
not bringing an existing one to an end, preventing one from happening.
Well, that's it. Yes.
Or both.
Well, and so I'll read what they say here, and then, I can translate because it's just nonsense. So right at the top there, Marin fire officials, this is brand new folks for Marin County, which should know better because we're educated and environmentally aware and we love the forest. Marin fire officials are proposing a 10-year plan to improve forest health and prevent wildfires in 39,300 acres along the coast. Just suck on that. 10 years. This is going to help the forest health. And of course, they do this with chainsaws, masticating machines, herbicides, and then some sort of controlled burns to reduce. What people are told is the forests are overgrown because we've been suppressing fires. And now we know better. That's a failed policy of the past. We shouldn't be suppressing fires. So instead,
therefore, we're going to suppress fires.
We're going to suppress fires with a new technique. Instead of dumping, say, pink flame retardant from helicopters, we're going to just cut down the forest preemptively so it can't burn. And that's called vegetation management. That's called thinning. And I have such trouble calming down because I get so angry that that they're doing it, to help us, and B, that so many people don't even know what's going on. And when they do hear about it, all they've heard is the cover story by
Forest
saying
health.
you need to kill animals to get protein. Here it's we need to cut down the forest because they're overgrown. There's no such thing as an overgrown forest, folks. You protect houses up to at most 100 feet out and then leave the wild forest alone. It's so simple. And I'm hoping that I can be inspired by Gary Yourofsky to speak this stuff loudly, repeatedly, forcefully to educate people. Otherwise, we're going to, I mean, this is 39,300 acres more in addition to the Tomales Bay project. And since this, yesterday I was on with another activist, God bless her, who's educating me about another project, a so-called shaded fuel break. They want to cut it's a 20-something mile swath around Mill Valley, educated, Tony, expensive Mill Valley that is in the trees to protect it from the entire community. We be protected by a ring, I don't even know, 10, 20, 30 feet wide of dead vegetation. And the point is, folks, that does nothing. The fires that have been spreading and making the news and, destroying houses and scaring people, understandably, are wind driven. And when the winds kick up 20, 30, 50, 100 feet, 200 feet is meaningless. Embers carry across those distances like across a 10-lane freeway in LA and ignite on the other side, and firefighters can be standing there with their trucks and hoses. They can't stop it. It can't be stopped. So all of this is a complete waste of money, and it's monstrously destructive. And I haven't even gotten to the animals yet, which maybe you can do. What happens when you bring in like these dorks here? I mean, they don't know any better. They're chainsaws and they're trimming vegetation. You could argue a little bit by the side of a road. You don't want the vegetation catching fire because you want to drive out of there. But I'm not talking about that. I mean, that's the least of it. I'm talking about going 100 feet into this forest or 50 feet in and cutting down trees to restore forest health, to make us safer when there's no house around. It's literally insane. It gets me fucking crazy.
Okay, so number one, well, I don't know if it's number one, but a point is that fire breaks do not work, and they're proven to not work.
Correct.
Even the people who have heard this, it doesn't seem to matter to, because humans feel better about doing something.
Right.
We need to feel like we did something.
Correct.
Which is usually terrible news for everything else. Like shark culling, safe beaches. We don't do this in the United States, but this happens in other places of the world. Beach nets and things like that do not make people safer. Never have. The statistics don't support it, but people feel like something's being done.
Just to underline what you just said, you did a documentary. What's the correct name of your second shark documentary about setting up nets to protect people from sharks on Australian beaches? I didn't know anything about the issue, and it's an amazing film you made. Its name is
Monsters. It's the follow-up to Great White Lies.
Monsters. So a wonderful documentary film. I saw it. Skyler won an award for it, but we went down to the Fort Mason. I forget the name of the film center. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. The film is Monsters, and it explains Skyler, God bless him, went to frickin' Australia.
South Africa. Well, I both.
Thank you. Anyway, you're right. That was South African beaches. I'm sorry. The accents are the same to ignorant me. And showed how there's a business, of course, a money-making business in setting up these underwater nets to ostensibly protect people on the beaches from sharks. And they don't work. They're poorly installed, poorly maintained. They're ineffective anyway. It is things
get darker and darker, because that's only a piece of the problem there. They are now countering the fact that people are waking up to that it was bullshit by now calling themselves a conservation and education company. The people who are doing the killing are calling themselves a conservation company. The people that are destroying the forest claim that they are worried about the forest's health.
Right. And restoring the forest to health. Right.
Right. This is incorrect. And I'm sure that any animal living in the trees that they chop down would agree with me. Trump was coming after the Presidio. And I'm surprised, because it seems like the Presidio Trust is on the same page as Trump. They're chopping down trees here. And I watch the birds go into the trees after they come down to the ground and forage and go back up to their nests. I gotta wonder if there's any environmental impact study that was done, or if they're required to mark down how many nests, because an excuse for doing this is preservation of a species or to bring back an old species that was thought to be extinct. And I'm thinking, you are sending the ones that managed to survive humans in the first place into extinction because of your little science project here.
So there is an answer to that question, my friend, and it depends on the project, but they are required by laws to do surveys. And oftentimes they will do surveys and even report to the public, although they don't really, I mean, I doubt most people, this fortunately was on the cover of the Marin Independent Journal, this specific project. Since I've learned there's another project, the Shaded Fuel Break around Mill Valley. They did a survey, and I know it was more than 80, but I think it was 83 northern spotted owl nest, and that's considered a is it threatened species, the northern spotted owl? Endangered species. In any case, whatever. I mean, I don't even care what species of owl it is. Leave the owls alone. But it's more than 80 nests, and they've noted that there are nests. And then they'll make the usual equally fallacious claims that, well, we won't disturb the nests. We're just going to run power tools all around the place and set fires, and the birds will be fine because we're not going to touch the nests, as if they can even find all the nests. I mean, it's just, it's so absurd. I don't know where to start. It's like attacking the Trump administration for breaking laws. Like, it's just the list. But I'm serious. The list is so long. You know, you got to do like an Aaron Sorkin speech of enumerating them all to get people to understand how big it is, and then you're just some lunatic ranting. But they're the criminals. In this case, this is it's so out of touch with nature. It's the back to the big theme of fear of the wild. We need to control it, burn it, manage it, save it, help it, protect it, thin it, all these meaningless at some point words. Just leave it alone.
There's fear of the wild, and then the intoxication of being in control,
right?
Managing.
Right.
I have a sad story about a nephew, probably the last family member I was in contact with, but he was getting his PhD in Santa Barbara, and then went and worked for a summer with a fire team here, and that experience suddenly turned him, still a child in my mind, into a fire expert. And now he's part of the system. He used to be level-headed, but now in order to continue down the path he started on, because it was a glorification. Like, he showed me the footage. He made a music video of it. And I was like, well, you did a good job making a video, but this is destruction porn. You know, this is people getting excited about chainsawing and filming a forest being burnt down. And the goal is to pursue more forest destruction when our planet is running out of forests at an alarming rate.
So, as an activist, the good news is when people hear what you just said or listen to my rants, they will hear the truth of it. I mean, we're doing this. What we're saying is what we believe to be the truth. The other companies are literally making money at doing this. But I love your phrase. You said the intoxication of control. That's a wonderful phrase. And in fact, I'm going to go full circle here and be a little bit more philosophical and say that when you notice that voice in you that cared for your beloved dog and watched her be killed by a coyote, there was a part of you that wanted to go kill the coyote. I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again. Fortunately, you're wise enough to not follow your own human impulse to get the intoxication of control. I'm going to prevent this. I'm going to get revenge, and I'm going to make sure it never happens again. And then you're wise enough, Skyler, wise enough to say, no, that's not right. It's not going to work, and I don't want to be that. You get a choice. We humans have all those voices, and you get to choose, as they say, which wolf inside do you want to feed? The one that's anger and hatred and revenge, or the one that says, no, I want to have compassion for that wild animal that did a wild thing when I was in the wild environment.
The idea of us not being in charge is very disturbing for a lot of people. We need to believe that we are in charge, which really is kind of an insecure attitude to have. You should be okay with yourself, even if we aren't constantly pushing our dominance on others. But it is what it is us. It does describe us. We're so used to everything going the way that we say it should go that when something such as this buffalo killing the hunter happens, it's an absolute no-no. Wait a minute, we're in charge. What the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah. So, and I'm not in charge of my life. I mean, I can influence it, it seems, to some extent, but I often feel out of control, and it's human. But what do you do with those feelings? And I have learned some things in a little bit of decades of life, and that is to my exes will be laughing, but be with the feelings.
Paula says animals are such a convenient target for rage. And man, there's a show in that comment alone
Yeah,
because they are. I mean, all they want to do, it's almost like humans want to pretend that wildlife have the violent tendencies that we do and pretend that they're going out and putting themselves in danger when they go hunting, when the reality is you're pursuing something that's desperately trying to escape you. But I'd also like to bring this back to domesticated animals because there's two that come to mind immediately, and that's cattle, who are incredibly gentle, and dogs, also gentle and just desperately want to make us happy. And therefore, ranchers get away with abusing the hell out of cattle because they're just their nature is to not really retaliate. And dogs are resilient, and no matter how badly you treat them, up to a point, I guess, they're going to wag their tail anytime that they think that they're going to get a little bit of approval, no matter how shitty you are. And it's back to what Paula said. They're a convenient target for us because
in,
they allow
in,
us to be
innocent,
abusive.
innocent, vulnerable, can't fight back. You take out your rage on them. Yeah. And it's funny. I feel it makes me think to like bring a trauma therapist on here at some point and have a different kind of a show where you get to the roots of that, how that works in the human psyche. Where if I'm in pain, if my parents beat me and I'm angry about it, and everybody had, some degree of, I didn't get as much as I wanted, certainly not abuse and physical abuse, but then there's anger in you. And if you don't deal with it, face it, express it, work on it, therapy, whatever, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. That energy needs to move. And it's, while you're inflicting it on another animal or person, you get momentary relief, like drinking, like smoking dope, like going for a run, like having sex, whatever your escape is. Those addictions is how you get momentary relief from pain. And I'm speaking like I'm Mr. Master of this stuff. I'm not. I'm aware of it. Doesn't mean I've fixed all my stuff, but I am aware of how this stuff works now, versus being clueless and believing that if I do this nasty thing or shoot that gun at that thing or jump out of a plane and skydive, that then my troubles are gone. Well, for a moment, yeah, but then you land on Earth and you're back in your mood, back dealing with your issues.
I actually can't even relate to that. I don't know. I can't relate to the temporary relief of killing something else. I can remember when I experimented with killing something just because I was target practicing as a boy because that's what I was supposed to do,
Yep.
and just being filled with regret when I was successful. I was like, this was not rewarding.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get it, Skyler. I mean, in fact, what you described, I could say exactly the same words, the same sentence. I had a
So do you think these hunters
well,
are
hang
so
on.
different from us that they feel that, or do you think that they just keep going down the wrong path trying to fill a hole that is not getting filled?
Some version of the latter. Yeah, I think filling a hole. I mean, while you're on I was going to ask you, and it relates to the big game hunter, while you're in the process of having your gun, for me, it was a BB gun, then a pellet gun, then a 22 as a teenager, pointing it at a squirrel or a fish or a frog, which is what I did. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I'm alive. I'm actually in nature studying the animal. So there's that. And then in your case, and in my case, because we are who we are, when you do kill or wound or something, then, oh my God, I feel awful. What have I done? But I didn't know that would be the feeling. I had to go through that process. And while I was engaged, I was alive. I was feeling something.
Yes, and I think about that a lot when I go trying to find wildlife to film. I'm alive, especially when I catch sight of them, and it's up to me to track them. You don't have to end it with murder. You can track them, and the goal can be to observe them. You can let them still be there for another day.
Here's
Go
a
track
question.
them again, man.
Why do photographers, I learned this when I went to Los Angeles, my first film shoots for an ad agency. Why do photographers and videographers, typically male, typically men, say I'm going on a shoot? I'm shooting. You could say filming. You could just use the word filming, and the word shoot would never even arise in your consciousness. But I'm a shooter. I swear to God, I first met that word in the 80s. I'm a shooter. It was a cool macho way to say I take pictures of things, but that's too feminine and too vulnerable and soft. I'm a shooter. That was a term I'd never heard before. Why?
Hey, you brought this up before, and I said in return, when I had a big lens and I could zoom far, the animal didn't even know I was filming. And I thought the difference between me and a hunter is squeezing my finger. I mean, that's pathetic. It's pathetic. Nothing should die that way. Like that defies nature. Nothing should be allowed to kill something else that easily. So don't talk about being part of the food web or the circle of life. You're defying everything that is natural about it.
Not
Even
very.
even an animal. What's the closest example that we have to that? Like a fish that can spit water at an insect in the sky. That's that's not even close to what hunters are doing.
That is my neighborhood crow, who and I have a relationship with. He's
Telling you that there's 5 minutes left.
yeah, that's the 5-minute warning. Thank you, guy. He's a cool dude. He is one smart bird with these ruffled feathers. I think he's molting, and he comes around every morning, and I go out there and hang with him because I'm not normal.
Well, I enjoy listening to the owls here, but I don't have much time left since the conservationists are busy destroying the owls' homes.
Well, so I'm an activist. If anybody listening to this, and I know there's some activists here. Good morning, Corinne. He is insistent today. It can't be the raw peanuts I'm feeding him, I'm sure, because that's wrong. You do not feed wildlife. You let them be wild. Hey, come on. I'm trying to do a show here, buddy. If anybody wants to get involved in the forest activism here in Marin County, if you're local or in the Bay Area, please contact me. We have a couple meetings coming up, public meetings, where we can speak to the MWPA board members and film ourselves and put it on social media and object to this stuff. The good news is we're early in on the plans at this point. We can still stop them, and they have to go through some approvals. Shut one window, that might quiet a little bit, but not much. Anyway, so if people want to get involved in forest activism, and for me, it's working.
Is this on your homepage?
I was just saying, email me directly. I mean, I just put up a web page. I emailed about it yesterday with my tree.
You want me to put your email up?
Actually, just treespiritproject.com/MWPA is this current issue we were talking about. Let's start there. Once people are on my website, there's a contact thing. It's easy to find. Yeah, I mean, most people know me at this point. It's jack@treespiritproject.com. That's the email. Thank you, Skyler. And again, since we're, I think, going to be winding down here rather than winding up for another half an hour, we're on the hour here. 2 weeks from today, next week, I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but we will then be certainly talking more about 2 weeks from today, August 26th, special guest, vegan activist, converted Gary Yourofsky, Yourofsky, personally has been responsible for probably converting, it's probably safe to say, tens of thousands of people to veganism just by rational argumentation. And then, of course, he trained people like Paul Bashir, who created Anonymous for the Voiceless, another group, street activism, that credit Gary Yourofsky with waking them up to veganism, and then they became activists in their own right. So he's a big name in the vegan in the little world of vegan activism. He's a very big fish, very big name, and really interesting guy. August 26th, folks. Yeah.
And this Friday, only a couple of days away, Leah Wilburn will be here.
Oh, cool. So in just 3 days.
Doing a bonus episode.
What time is that show?
Same time, 9 a.m.
9 a.m. And what's the topic? Do you want to say?
She's going to help explain exactly why the humane washing marketing campaign has been more damaging than people even realize, even those of us who suspect it's been damaging.
Humane washing, for those few who don't know that are watching the show, means, no, it's okay. The burger, the egg, chicken comes from a small family farm and was treated with respect and love and killed humanely. All that is nonsense. And there's Skyler's donation to what Skyler's doing on, apparently the site is Flip Cause. I guess you'd have to copy that.
That's the interface that my tax deductible system goes through.
Okay.
It makes it easy to choose your amount and
Got it.
whether to do it recurring.
If they go to watch, I'm sorry, one more plug for you. If they go to Watching Humans, your YouTube channel, which is easy to find, Watching Humans, just type that into YouTube. Can they find this link there, or do you have a button, or will you put a button to this?
I should. The
Okay.
shame of pointraise.org is still where most of my donation buttons are, but Weebly's not letting me update the website, and the whole thing's going to get taken down if I try and change it. So
Right.
it's just old man complaining about technology. I'll change. I'll move on. Oh, here's a Ray Cooper comment before we go.
And I want to read one after that. So Ray Cooper's is just a comment about hunting. We don't allow for the animals to defend themselves the way we have the right to do. The problem is this makes sense. The problem is this makes sense.
It makes sense to us.
Oh, right. Right. We think that's right. Animals don't have the same rights.
To our species, not us, but
yeah. In fact, if they do, we hunt the animal, and then if it fights back, it's vicious. And Susan says, please feed your cow friend on camera. That's sweet. That would be nice. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Susan and Ray and Corinne and Paula and Marty. Appreciate your presence there. If you make a comment on the Watching Humans on this program on the YouTube page, that helps as well and keeps it going.
And you know what we should start doing at the beginning of shows is responding to comments that I've seen, at least to some of them.
Sure. There's good comments. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, thanks.
Marty, in fact, I saw Marty make one last week that I want to respond to, but not at the end of the show. Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Oh, and Corinne's feed your crow, not your cow. That's where that makes sense.
Can you do both? Can you get a crow and a cow?
I would like to feed a cow. I don't have any around me. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Skyler. Appreciate it as always. We'll see you next week.
And I'll see everyone Friday. And
right.
If not Friday, we'll see everyone on Tuesday.
Right. Special show Friday, 9 a.m. Watching Humans podcast page on YouTube. Skyler will be interviewing the great Leo Wilborn, a new-ish and fiery vegan activist.
All right. See you next time, everyone.
Okay.